Okay, hello everyone. We are live here with a game between Sonos and Board Game Bandit, which is kind of a screen test for the finale of March Smashness. The finale might be monitored in similar fashion, and we are just trying out here if the audio, if the video, and everything works. So this is not an official game for the tournament by any means, but it's kind of an Elseworlds scenario, which is if Steampunk Incas had gone on and won against giant ants and would have faced disco dinosaurs, what would have happened? This is the game we're doing right now, with Bandit playing Steampunk Incas and Sonos playing disco dinos. Yeah, let's just see what happens.
Right. Okay. So I'll just toss the coin.
Flipping the coin as a start signal for the players.
Right. Yes, I think Tails is Bandit, so he will start on his stinkers.
Bandit starts naturally with Machu Picchu being a really good base for Incas so early, giving good card draw early on. We see generally two quick-to-break bases with relatively high VP rewards in form of Machu Picchu and Evans City Cemetery, and Giant Turnip, a base that doesn't really grant any advantage to any of the players because both don't really have extra minion plays. But we see
kind of a good
what they do
base
with
for
it.
engines, right? If you want to have an engine going, Giant Turnip is
exactly. In this matchup, it's good base to just park a card you want to keep in play for some time. We see Bandit going with his Child of the Sun at this Giant Turnip. Generally, in this matchup, Steampunk Incas seem to be the more consistent combination because they have several means of deck searching and recursion. Disco Dinosaurs can make really big power drops as well, but they kind of depend on drawing some really specific cards. Like if you get that augmentation and you are able to double it on one of your divas, that's a huge power drop. But if they don't get these cards and they don't have a lot of card draw, they might suffer.
Yeah. Maybe we can just start by going over their starting hands. I feel like Bandit has a kind of good starting hand. Already his boss minion in Steam Queen, and the mechanic and the called Child of the Sun. Really powerful minions and already getting his engine going.
What we don't see so far is a good base action he'd really want to play. He has the escape head to save that Captain Ahab from potential destruction that Laser Raptors and Sonos hand might offer. And Sonos, nothing really major. The Diva can of course be huge if he has an action to copy onto it.
Yes.
And here we see the destruction on Captain Ahab does go back to Bandit's hand, but of course slows him down, throwing him back one turn.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point you're making there. The Disco Dinosaurs actually have the stall tactics to slow the game down and maybe have a chance of drawing their, strong cards to actually burst power some of these bases.
Yeah, that's true. While they don't have much card draw compared to Steampunk Incas, they actually have some means of slowing down the game.
Right.
And while Laser Raptors only gets a power 2, some of the dino actions can actually also get bigger minions off the board. So now Sonos gets also base action, also drawing a card.
Yeah.
Wildlife Preserve not really doing too much against Steampunk Incas, but the card draw is what he really wants. Right. And in form of Survival of the Fittest, we see one of the stronger destruction cards, Disco Dinosaurs. Oh, there's the King Rex.
Draws right, the Diva and King Rex, if I can. I don't want to change my perspective here, so King Rex. Okay.
Yeah, we're still trying out with the perspectives.
Right. Yeah, I think we all know the King Rex by now. Now we see Signs in the Stars.
And that is actually the only card which does not work with the perspective. We have chosen this perspective because usually you don't need to see the bases in the discard pile. I think they notice that right now. That for Signs in the Stars we actually have. Alright, so the ability of Tar Pits is added to Machu Picchu now.
Right. Yeah,
which means that each minion that is destroyed here goes to the bottom of its owner's deck. Could be a slight advantage for Bandit against the Disco Dino destruction, but nothing too major.
And Bandit actually draws an Incan Engineer for that. That's really huge because the Incan Engineer allows him to especially search his deck for the base actions he desperately needs that help him break the base.
Now we see a swap of the base. We have the main street's ability added to Machu Picchu. So after any player plays an action that affects a card here, each other player may place a +1 counter on one of their minions.
Right.
Also not really what Sonus wants.
No.
And the Incan Engineer is going to reveal cards until he finds a base action.
And
that is Fortress Walls, which isn't great, also isn't bad. Good one to get the Inca engine going.
Yes.
And when we're talking about Steampunk Incas being the more consistent combination, this Incan Engineer is one of the cards we're talking about, because with these engineers, they really help get out the base actions you need. And we see Bandit drawing the Rotary Slug Thrower, and with a mechanic already in his hand, that can lead to several power drops down the line in this match.
Correct.
Sonus, I don't know, is he contemplating playing the Diva?
No, he's not.
Because the Diva is kind of floating up in the air, and now he's not playing it.
And just, put it back in his hand. Yeah, for
Yeah,
Sonus, he of course looks to make a play with this exact Diva. That's his way of getting out power quickly. So I feel like he has to decide on which base he wants to score next. Right?
Yeah, and he does not have a great action to copy yet. He can get +2 power, and that copied onto the Diva is +4, which would be just one augmentation that's not copied, so not too bad, also not too great. Yeah, those who are not familiar with Disco Dinosaurs, by the way, maybe we should say that. The way this combination works is that the Disco Dancer's abilities allow you to copy the effect of a standard action that affects one of your minions. So usually you want to use this with augmentation from the dinosaurs, which give +4 power to a minion. So if you can copy that ability, you get +8 right off the bat. So you can always safely lead with the diver and then play your minion on your next turn, and they get the +3, +8. But both players still being kind of spread out on all bases so far. No huge commitment, no one really pushing to break a base. And
yeah, we'll see. Evan City is kind of off the table now due to both players having really good hands. We see the King Rex Rampage combo for Sonus right now. Rampage, of course.
But with the extra actions Disco Dinos have.
Right. So
Get Down Tonight is one he could copy. And maybe, I think Sonus could maybe try, if he placed that King Rex Rampage combination on Evan City Cemetery, he can get the 5 VP, and then he doesn't really have anything major in his hand he wants to keep. Staying alive wouldn't work there. If you break Evan City Cemetery for the 5 VP and then draw 7 new cards, that could be a deal.
Yeah.
And we see another switch of the base abilities, so now we have the Boogie Wonderland ability.
After a player plays a standard action that affects one or more of their minions here, they draw a card. Great base for, of course, Sonus.
And I think when it's Bandit's turn, we will see that switch right out again.
Yes, I'm sure. Yeah. I think strategy-wise, Bandit can maybe a bit more play on all 3 bases, and is maybe even supposed to be. For Sonus, I feel like he could try to win a base right now.
Yeah, definitely. With King Rex Rampage, he is in range. Several bases, not too far off breaking, and I think he's preparing for that play. He has pivoted with the Diva on his last turn.
Right, yes.
By the way, please excuse my pronunciation of Diva, which I sometimes like to call Dava. We are both not native speakers, as you may notice. So if our pronunciation is off at times, please don't get mad at us.
Right. Bandit is setting up for a rotary slug thrower play, I guess, with all these minions out in play. And
definitely seems like it. He does not have a Zeppelin or anything, so the only minion that can move for now
Captain
is the
Ahab.
Captain Ahab,
Right.
which can move to any base where a base action is, so any base in the game. And we see
the
Sonos actually going for the King Rex
I like that. I
augmentation
really do
play.
like that. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
To see. Well, I think both players have exactly one special in their decks. For Bandit, that should be the plus power for a base action on a base.
He actually has that in his hand. That is Ashlar Masonry, between the two Captain Ahabs. So after a base scores, he can get back his specials. With the mechanic in hand, maybe he doesn't even want to do that, because then the actions would not go to the discard pile from where the mechanic can grab them.
Correct.
So, and this is really good for Sonos. He breaks the base, gets the 5 VP, draws a new hand with pretty huge cards. Discolu granting an extra action and double augmentation. Right. And the Boogie Wonderland ability, which previously was on Machu Picchu for him, is now in play. So Sonos up 5-3 with a fresh hand with great cards. And also a good base for him in play. And we see what Bandit has to answer that. Bandit again cycling the top card of the base deck for the ability that is added to Machu Picchu. And the Greasy Spoon is now a base that is really good for Bandit, because when an action there would go to the discard pile, they can shuffle it in his deck.
Right.
Maybe again with the mechanic, not what you want for that rotary slug thrower,
but for
the other action, yeah.
Yes. For
like
the Incas they need some actions in their deck to always have the juice, I guess, to keep going.
Exactly. Incas do not want to run out of base actions at any point. And they have their own cards to deal with that in form of Ashlar Masonry and Kripu Strings, but
the base, of course, helps.
Maybe save one of these. Not too shabby.
Right. I don't know what just happened here. My screen.
Bandit setting up with the Captain Ahab again.
Second Fortress Wall.
Second Fortress Wall coming out. Bandit might also be setting up for Golden Condor here.
Yeah.
Which would replay all the base actions in play. And of course, if you replay those Fortress Walls, they trigger again. Fortress Walls plays a power counter when it is played, and a power counter when another action is played there. So if you Golden Condor 2 Fortress Walls, you get a counter for the first Fortress Wall, you get a counter for the second Fortress Wall, you get a counter for the first Fortress Wall triggering for the second Fortress Wall, and if you then play Signs in the Stars there, you have both Fortress Walls triggering again for a total of 5 power counters.
Right. Very nice.
And of course, that could be combined with any base action in his hand, like Zeppelin or Rotary Slug Thrower. So I think that is what Bandit is potentially aiming for. Yeah. He could do quite a huge play with Golden Condor on his plan.
I might actually like the fact that Sonos was playing on all 3 bases at the start, because as we said, Bandit has no means of ever interacting with his minions, and he has no way of ever solo scoring a base as long as Sonos plays at least 1 minion there.
Yeah, so, and if you watched a few of Bandit's videos, you know that this guy likes his solo scores from time to time. Yes. And as soon as Sonos is anywhere on the table, he has no way of getting off there.
Yeah, and that's what I was just thinking about. Maybe Bandit is actually trying to solo score the Boogie Wonderland right now, which would maybe be possible with the Child of the Sun granting him a second action, and maybe it could be a Zeppelin play. I'm not really sure.
We'll have to see. Yeah. Anyway, and Sonos here. Oh, Sonos actually going for the Last Dance here, which grants him 2 victory points.
Yeah,
Diva copying the ability affecting the roller. And we see Bandit also destroy his Captain Ahab for a victory point.
Yes.
So for those of you who are not familiar with this card from Disco Dances, Last Dance destroys one of your minions, and allows your opponents to do the same, and for each of your minions destroyed, you get a victory point. And because that destruction is affecting a minion, the Diva can copy that effect, so 2 of your minions are destroyed and you get 2 victory points.
Right.
And Sonos gets right back onto the base, so to avoid that solo score, even though Giant Turnip with his BP of 30 is pretty far from scoring anyhow. We see the Zeppelin come out and now trigger for both power counters on both fortress walls. On that Child of the Sun, moves down to Machu Picchu.
4, 8, 11.
And we see the Rotary Slug Thrower come out,
16 power plus 4,
giving another plus 4,
20.
and that is enough to break Machu Picchu. Bandit should draw another card for Machu Picchu's ability. Did he do that? Did you draw for Machu Picchu or not?
I'm not sure. We'll just...
Oh, he's contemplating his play.
Yes, yeah.
He did now draw. Yeah, just drawing the card for Machu Picchu, making sure whatever he draws there does not change what he wants to do with that Ski Man on his turn. Yeah, so Bandit breaks Machu Picchu. Well, Armory comes
double
out.
Armory in his hand. Armory, of course, being one of the strongest actions for for Incas to break a base, giving him +2 power for each of his other base actions there, which would already be 6 power on Giant Turnip.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wanted to say Bandit ties it up in victory points, but because Sonos got that extra VP from last
dance, right?
Yeah.
Yes, still one more. And right now we have to kind of calculate which bases are, well, worth it, and with which bases each player can win the game to reach these 15 victory points. I guess for Bandit, the win on Giant Turnip and maybe a second place on any of the other 2 bases would be enough to reach 15 at least. But of course, if we go with that, Zonus is already on Giant Turnip and won't get away there, so he gets 3 victory points by default, giving him a total of 12. And if he, of course, wins one of the other bases, he has 16 and would win the game. So
yeah, as of now, Sonos totally comfortable with taking second place at Giant Turnip.
Right.
Maybe Bandit also. Like Bandit could also take third place there and then win another base. Does not work if Sonos takes second place, I think. Do they not replace Greasy Spoon?
Greasy? No, he just scored Machu Picchu, and Greasy Spoon was on the side for some.
Yeah, that was the Son of the Star Space. I thought it was in play already. I missed that.
But I like Bandit's play Sonus's play, for playing on the Boogie Wonderland and actually trying to recycle the Howl. Actually, that's nice. He affects his minion with Howl, and because of Boogie Wonderland, he draws cards.
Yeah, that's nice. With the 2 augmentations in hand, you don't need that Howl for your power output anyhow. And now, Sonos actually can make a huge turn next play with Discolu, double augmentation, and copying one of these onto his Diva.
Right, give Discolu giving him an extra action, which could be its Raining Man for an extra minion for the second Diva on Boogie
that could
Wonderland.
also be the second Discolu for another extra action.
But the second Discolu can't copy the augmentation.
No,
so
but he can play the second augmentation.
His next turn, he has 7 power in minion with Discolu and Diva, and 12 power for triple augmentation.
Oh.
That actually breaks Boogie Wonderland.
Yeah, and he'd also draw more cards because all of these are affecting his minions. Get Bandit. Again, double triggering the fortress walls at Giant Turnip. and moving Captain Ahab off with that Zeppelin ability to stop the potential solo score. I don't know if we saw that one coming. Did the Diva telegraph that for him? He does not want to take that risk. Anyway, good call from Bandit, avoiding a potential break of Boogie Wonderland without him on it.
Right. And he actually...
And Bandit draws back the Rotary Slug Thrower.
Right.
So he has the power output back for him. Sonus, I think, will likely break a base now.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, it doesn't really matter which base. I think if he can, maybe the giant turnip is also an option, if he can break it. Because Bandit would lose all of his base actions there.
Yeah. If he can make that would actually make sense for him, because then he still has the Diva and Boogie Wonderland in play for his potential final base, while Bandit loses all of the setup
Yes.
he has done there over his last turns.
So, also, although Bandit has only 4 power on the base, with Sonos having 3, 7 total.
Yeah, right, that Captain Ahab move off, so the base is pretty far away from breaking.
Again, if we count his maximum power output, he has 7 and 8, 15 power that he can drop anywhere. Of course, if he drops it on Boogie Wonderland, it becomes 19, because the additional Diva there can also copy the augmentation.
Yeah, exactly. And at John Turner, we only have a total of 7 power at the moment, so with plus 15. We would get -2 on the breakpoint because of 2 more minions being played there.
Not enough.
That is still not enough, no. Not even close.
Right. But yeah, on the other hand, I think he has to do it. He has to score Boogie Wonderland. And after that, Bandit can't score Giant Turnip anymore, because Somus would win with that. And basically each base with a 2 VP difference is off limits for Bandit from now on.
Yeah, exactly. If Somus breaks Boogie Wonderland, Bandit can't break a base with him on it. And we've already talked about the lack of removal options in the Steampunk Inca deck. So that would make it really, really hard for Bandit to come back from that, should Sonos go up with the 4-pointer on Boogie Wonderland further.
Exactly, this lack of interaction with your opponent's cards also cost them their game against their previous opponents. So the Incas and Steampunks didn't move forward in the bracket.
Yeah, exactly. Power output wise, Steampunk Incas are actually one of the strongest combinations in this tournament, I think. But without any first mate removal, they had no way of stopping that Pirate and Infinite.
Right. Not sure what Sonus is considering right now, but he will actually play on Boogie Wonderland.
Yeah, they also cut off thinking time in general.
No, but
I think.
Didn't use the extra action, but will search. Of course, the second ability from Discolu is to place an action from your discard pile back on top of your deck. So he chooses his last dance, it seems like it, and puts it on top of his deck again. Or yeah, he does that.
Yeah, then we see the second Discolu.
Right.
Yeah, and that does make sense actually, because if he wins that base, he is at 13 VP. He does have a minion in play.
With a in hand, he can actually end the game instantly.
Exactly. If Bandit does not break Giant Turnip on his next turn,
he can't.
The Diva copying.
Sonus has still the War Raptor on Giant Turnip, so Bandit.
Yeah, right. Bandit can't score Giant Turnip without Sonus winning, and if on his next turn Sonus uses that last dance.
Yes.
to copy the ability, the destruction, onto the Diva. He will destroy 2 of his minions, get the 2 extra VP.
And win the game.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
So this is 90% game for Sonus in this situation.
Correct.
It seems.
No, Storyteller's Hut, of course, very good for Bandit, and maybe his last chance of ever scoring any base solo. Don't know if he has it actually. I doubt it, to be honest.
Yeah, what we could see now is potentially that Golden Condor switching all the actions onto another base and then finishing up with Rotary Slugs Thrower, maybe.
Right.
Like he could use Zeppelin to move Steam Man to Greasy Spoon.
And with the extra
Then-
action from Storyteller's Hut, you don't actually have to have a minion on the base. You can use it whenever you want to in your turn. So he can play both of his armories in hand, and each armory is now, I think, worth 8 points. With triggering both fortress walls he has in play. So 10 points. He should be able to score the Greasy Spoon solo.
We'll see what he does. He also has the option of using the mechanic to replay any action in his discard pile. I think after the shuffling in, there is nothing really major in there. Can we have a look at Bandit's discard pile for a second?
Of course.
So
He has,
yeah,
of course, the
like we thought, the options for mechanic are fairly limited. He could
Only
get that
escape
escape hatch, but that does not bring him any closer to breaking a base.
So, yeah, I guess his only option is to score the Greasy Spoon, hope for Storyteller's Hut to be kept in play, so he can further take the advantage. And
But can he break Greasy Spoon?
yeah, I think so.
Because if he plays Golden Condor, he can't play both armories. Plays Captain Ahab. Uses the Armory and Golden Condor, and now we see one that comes out with. Yeah, pretty much the player you predicted. I haven't counted it out in my head. The first base action will already grant 2 power counters. Yeah, that's huge because this is what we talked about way back before the first base even broke. He is now able to play his actions in any order. So for any action on that base, these 2 fortress walls will trigger.
Right.
And that should be enough to break Greasy Spoon.
Yeah, you want to.
I didn't fully calculate
the
that.
fortress walls, so they are in play. Oh, and
he breaks Storyteller's Hut actually.
Oh, that's interesting. I think
it makes sense because
makes more sense for him than for Sonos, but Sonos of course can also use the extra action extremely well.
Yeah, maybe he wants to just get that out of the way.
Right.
I think Sonos might do on his next turn.
With the mechanic in hand, he has also.
Yeah, so let's just have a look at how much power he gets.
Right. So he starts with playing Fortress Walls, I guess.
He starts with both Fortress Walls. That is 3 power counters. That is 5 power counters for Armory, 7 power counters for Zeppelin, 9 power counters for Royal Highway, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think you're correct. So 9 power counters. Armory
plus
another 8.
Yeah, plus 2 power counters for the initial play of Armory, because that already gave 2 power counters before he used Golden Condor.
Correct, right.
So we had 11 power counters.
8 power for Armory. He can of course move both of his minions. One for the Steam Man for Zeppelin. And I think Royal Highway can actually move another minion, but of course Captain Ahab can.
Yeah, Captain Ahab can move on his own.
Initial talent. And that should be enough. Oh, no, it has to. It isn't enough, so he has to actually play the Steam Queen.
Yeah,
and I think
the
breakpoint from Storyteller's Hut goes down by 2 for every time you use its ability.
Alright, so we just had a small problem with the recording. We are back after Bandit breaking the base with the Fortress Walls and Golden Condor play. So Sonos couldn't, of course, win the game as long as Bandit still has a minion in play, because when he uses Last Dance, Bandit is able to destroy his Steam Queen as well, and they tie at 15-15. So Sonos playing a minion here with We Are Family on it, which also copies the ability that affects a minion. So because Sonos can actually destroy 3 minions on his next turn, and Bandit still only can destroy 1 minion, this is game for Sonos on his next turn, if Bandit doesn't make anything magical happen now.
Right.
And going by the cards in his hand, I don't think he can.
Yeah, it seems like it. He, of course, has drawn another Child of the Sun, which would provide him with an extra action from hand, or of course he can always play the Mechanic, both really powerful minions, giving him the option to play an extra.
Actually, I think both should come out the same.
Right, because he has an Armory.
Slug Thrower Armory, yeah. Yeah, and actually Armory and Slug Thrower is the same here, because he has 2 minions and 2 actions, so it would both be +4.
Although the Armory only provides +2 for each other base action, of course. So
yeah, but he could double Armory.
Right.
So that would be +4 as well. It isn't.
He plays Signs in the Stars again, and from
yeah, Bennett going for the Hail Mary, seeing that he can't break the base. Just see what he reveals, and he gets Kutsu, which could be huge because it lowers the breakpoint for 3 for every base action on it, and Child of the Sun allows him to play an extra action. So I think this totally turns the game upside down for Bandit right now, because that breakpoint is reduced by 6 for the base actions and by 4 for the minions on it. So we are talking about a base with a breakpoint of 20.
Breakpoint, right? He himself, of course, has only 13 power. With Sonus's 5, he gets to 17, I guess. 18, sorry. And that's not enough.
Yeah, that's not enough, and I think he is out of place. Yeah,
correct.
That's it. Bandit going for an Hail Mary that almost works. She comes short 2 points to breaking the base, and now the play we talked about. Sonus playing the Diva, playing Last Dance, copying the ability onto 2 of his other minions, destroying the War Raptor first, getting that 3 extra VP. Bandit destroying his Steam Queen to get to 15. And Disco Dinos take this game 16-15.
Right. So in hindsight, the lack of interaction with your opponent's cards actually hurt them again, and they were again not fast enough to break the base. Although they had pretty good power outputs during the game.
Yeah, close game in any case. And when we're talking about speed, we also have to take into account that Evans City Cemetery for Disco Dinosaurs, which gave them the double augmentation and Disco Loo. And I think that actually that was the turning point, because without that, I think Steampunk Incas would have been faster. If Disco Dinos would have had to draw all these cards manually, they would have been slower, I think.
Yeah.
So Evans City Cemetery actually, being the game-winning base for Disco Dinosaurs here.
Correct.
Both really powerful combinations, of course, and I think now we see Bandit just mapping out what his next turn could have been. Alright, that's it. We are wrapping up this game. We will see, I think the next game we are going to see will actually be the finale, so until then, thanks for watching and let's shut it down.